Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we are going to be jumping down into the charts to take a look at what has been going on most recently with Cardano. As I get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free to join. I don't think you're going to be disappointed by what you find down there, and yeah, why not check it out and let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you are looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, in the description down below you'll also find links to our Patreon services. Why not check that out as well? We offer a various different kind of things in our Patreon, so check it out if you're just looking for that a little bit more than what we're able to do here on YouTube. Right, let's jump on down into the desktop and actually take a look at what's going on here with Cardano. Okay guys, so we're going to really start things off by taking a look at this hourly chart. We've been tracking a pretty good correction. We spoke about this I think yesterday, and some more developments have occurred, so I want to just jump into a little bit there as well, right? So essentially, if we actually just hop up into our daily time frame here, and just briefly, you can see that we basically have 1, 2, 3, 4 coming down here. And this is actually deeper than expected for a fourth wave, but it's still valid. We haven't invalidated anything here for Cardano. And then, of course, we got the fifth wave pushing up, right? So what does this correction actually mean? Well, what we've done is we've gone from overbought to oversold on our daily time frame, right? So the next move up is going to be absolutely massive, right? Let's think about last time we were down this low, we were over here, right? And we moved all the way up there. Okay, so essentially this move from that over sold area actually moved up and then back down again. So I'll actually take it from this low point here. It's actually a slightly higher point, so the percentages will be slightly off, but we moved up 59%, right? So we've moved up 59% in that move from taking us from oversold to overbought, and we're going to do a very similar thing by going from oversold to overbought on this next run upwards. Okay, now this is going to be shorter. It's going to be shorter lived because it's only a fifth wave, and our weekly chart is heading to the overbought area, right? So we're going to be looking at some kind of weekly correction that's going to occur. That's going to have to happen after we take this stochastic RSI up into that fifth wave, in my opinion. Okay, just going by the psychology of the waves. In essence, Elliott wave theory is just mapping traders in the space, right? What it's doing essentially is just showing you human behavior as they buy and sell ADA, right? So when we take a look at the charts, what we actually have here essentially is the psychology of people buying and selling, the fear, the greed, and all that kind of stuff. And the next move up is going to be quite greedy. It's going to be driven pretty much just from the retail investors. You know, institutions aren't really going to be jumping in at this point. They were kind of taking advantage of wave 3, and specifically the whales definitely were taking advantage of wave 3 here. We were actually telling people that actually the fantastic opportunity was at the bottom of wave 2, not buying wave 1 and all that kind of stuff. Essentially, yeah, this dip here is actually the one that we were looking at buying and averaging and the price and whatnot in. So we've ridden it up, but there's a little bit more before we actually have a big pullback, which will be very significant, okay? So let's jump back down into our hourly. Okay, because this is where we actually start to break down the structure of the correction of this fourth wave, right? So we actually have a 335 here. This basically is an ABC move, okay, not an impulsive one, but there is a 5-wave impulsive structure at the end of it, okay? 3, 3, 5, or ABC all the way down to the bottom here. Then actually, I don't bother with the sub-wave counts because they're pretty standard, but essentially we have an ABC. So that makes 3, 3, and now we're tracking 5 waves going down, okay? And it looks like that's slightly in the wrong place. Let me just adjust. That's your 3. That would be your 4 right there, which means that is 2, and that must be 1, or actually it might be that actually that is 1, and we have a really overextended 3. Another way, there's basically 5 waves inside there, and that is good to see. Now we come back down to this low point. This was achieved on the 7th. Then we bounce on up. Now originally I had this as the 5th wave low, but actually looking at the structure of this moving up here, it's very corrective, and now we're looking at tracking back down into these low points here for our wave 5 final move down, right? And essentially on this larger scale, right? So as I said, we had a 335 here, we had 3 waves up, and then we got 5 waves. This is essentially 3, 3, 5, just on a bigger scale, right? So everything that we saw inside this little movement just here is actually exactly what we see in this larger movement here as well, okay? So good little observation there. Now, obviously, as we kind of pull back down, this means that we have a wave 4 low coming in around this fifth wave, because this should be the end of our correction, right? A 335, and the end of that fifth wave, it marks the reversal point. Okay, so this is where we start to see some kind of rally coming in back in. It's a bit of a bounce normally. You don't really tend to see too much buying action with the wave one. Or the wave one of this fifth wave. Wave two, then everyone's kind of like, yeah, we told you it was nothing, it's going back down again. And then FOMO kicks in, you have this huge wave three, it'll go up massively, and then a pull back down where everyone's like, oh no, we've lost it. But then retail investors, anyone who missed out on that top of the wave three, essentially come in, and then you get that final fifth wave blow. Now this essentially is this fifth wave, this one here, the one where everyone feels like they've missed out on the gains and we're going to the moon, is exactly what all of this wave 5 is all about, right? But you'll find that there's a lot of fear in these early stages, specifically down here at the bottom. Then obviously a lot of I told you so's here, and then, oh my God, I missed the opportunity in this stage. I'll buy this dip. And then they ride it up into that one, and then they still stay in it because they think it's going to the moon, and then the rug gets pulled. Okay, and so lots of kind of things that are going to happen here for Cardano. This is the very last move up. The fifth wave is usually one of the riskier ones, which is why institutions and whales don't tend to trade it. But essentially, this fifth wave goes up higher, right? And I'll go through what that looks like in a moment. Now, from this low point, once this comes in, I've got a couple of different things I want to turn and talk about before I jump down into the detail of it. These are, I guess, how do I put it? These are basically my assumptions based on the current data that's available to me now. It's not going to be exactly like this, but it's going to be somewhere in this kind of ballpark figure, and that allows us to understand where I think the reversal point is going to come. But time in the market's incredibly hard. Hardly anyone, especially myself, would get that right. It's going to give you a kind of an idea as to where I think it's going to happen, but I won't be exactly right on the nail on this one, okay? So as we kind of think about this, this fifth wave coming down, I think this here, this little section is our fourth wave. Let me actually grab hold of my pencil, right? So this here is our fourth wave move, okay? Meaning that there's a fifth wave that come down inside of the fifth wave low, right? So there's 5 waves inside. Now, when we start thinking about this, how do we plot it out? Well, we'd go 1, 2, this being 3, that being 4, then we come down into a 5, okay? I'm not going to draw it on there because it's going to be too much to kind of plot out here, all in one kind of go, and it makes it a little bit cluttered. But what I am going to do is grab a fib, and I'm going to run it from the low point just down here to the high point that we had just up there, okay? This then shows us with the probable areas, right? So straight away on the macro view, okay, so when we zoom on out, this fifth wave, based on this fourth wave up here, okay, is showing us with this yellow box. Okay, this is the end area, and if I grab hold of my horizontal ray, I'll just mark up those prices. So this macro one is basically saying that we're going to be anywhere between $1, which is going to be the baseline support level, up to about 102.4, right? That's the range. Now we can go into the subwave count of this, and we can go a little bit more detailed. We can see here actually $1.003, right? So 1003 is going to be the endpoint. So if I were to go ahead and grab another rectangle and I draw it on here for the micro sub wave count and then just remove the fib, what you've got is then this little end zone, right? So inside, we're now kind of finessing, right? We have the macro that's telling us it's going to be between $1 and $1.02, and then the sub wave count is saying it's going to be even more refined. We're probably going to be inside this little range just here, and I'll mark this up, and this basically puts it at $1 and $1.1.3. Okay, so this is kind of where we're looking at kind of landing before we actually end up reversing. Okay, we take a look at the stochastic RSI right here. We can see that this is overbought. We need to pull this down. This is only the hourly chart. When we go up into the 4 hourly, we actually do have to pull that down, and I think this little correction could do that for us, gets us back into the oversold area, and we've been pulling down recently, so hopefully that will actually then lines up nicely. We're already oversold on the 8 hourly. We're oversold on the daily chart, and obviously the weekly we spoke about, we need that correction, right? So I'll get into that in a moment. So essentially just the 4 hourly chart and the hourly chart need to come back down. So this little correction here taking us down, I don't know how many percentage points that's going to be from the current price, like 3%, hardly anything really. Once we see that come back down, we're then going to start seeing some pretty good runs, in my opinion, for reversal and upward moves, as everything is so heavily oversold. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to start seeing, as I said, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4 and 5 going up. Now, if we were to take it from that low end there, let's hypothetically say we hit $1, which is going to be a natural kind of turning point anyway, and we move on up towards our lowest kind of fifth wave high point, that would actually put us at about a 30% push here for Cardano, right? In this last wave up, right? So there's a 30% push potentially here on the horizon for Cardano's ADA, and then I do expect a huge pullback of about 50 or so% afterwards, okay? And that would basically correct our stochastic RSIs on the larger time frames, such as the weekly, right? So if I were to now actually just take off that there and come up into our weekly and bring this back down, you know, we've got this kind of move, right? This being our fifth wave going up here. And yeah, so we're basically not even starting that, so we're still just down here, right? So this is the birth of it, right? As I said, there's 5 waves, and we're looking to complete that just by moving up a little bit further, and I'll go through that price target in a second. Then there'll be a 50% pullback, which would be a wave 2, then a fantastic wave 3, then a pullback for wave 4, and then a 5th wave going up higher. And because when we actually zoom out of this, what are we actually tracking here? Well, there's a 5 impulsive structure move going up. This started back in March 2020. The high point up here was about July, August time 2020. Pull back down into the low end of around November time. For the most part, this is where me and Chris pretty much stacked up our ADA, right? Once we got confirmation of a good impulsive structure, we bought that dip right there. Then we rode it up here, and we haven't sold any. We've just accumulated. We got into the expanding flat right here, and now we're trying to track our 5th wave going higher. So overall, the macro is actually looking pretty good, but we need this little correction on this weekly chart to correct our stochastic RSI. And I do expect it to be about 50 or so% of the recent move wave 1, right? So everything on our daily chart here, let me just bring that back down. So this entire move here on our daily is effectively just a wave 1, and I would expect us to pull back pretty significantly. So if I grab this from here to there, which will be the low end of our 5th wave, and we should be pulling back down towards the $1 level after we hit these high points, okay? So really important that we understand that where we are right now is potentially where we're going to end up again in the very near future, okay? So when we start thinking about that, well, let's take a look, right? Where are we actually aiming here on this daily chart for this final 5th wave? There's a bit of a range. Again, it'll be refined when we get closer to it, but essentially it's anywhere between $1.31 and $1.42. We'll be right up into that spot there, and then we get the reversal, right? So that's kind of the area that I'm looking at, kind of seeing Cardano move in the next kind of coming, how do I put it? Like maybe a week to a month or so, just moving our way up here and then basically pulling back down. And again, that crash could take a while. It could be over pretty quickly. We won't know until we actually get there. But essentially, the structure is here. The structure is being finalized. We come back down into our hourly here. You can see that we're refining this low point. We know where we potentially might want to jump into Cardano on any short-term trades and all that kind of stuff. Not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice, obviously, but I can read the charts and I kind of give you an idea as to what I'm thinking or what I might be doing. So this low point for Cardano seems like a pretty good place that I might be actually entering into some short-term trades. So yeah, for the most part, I think Cardano is very, very close to actually reversing this and starting to move up nicely to the upside. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.